Hey there, fellow modelers, Face here. Well, it's been a few days since I've managed to get started on my MH-53, and I have made some pretty good progress, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But as I was posting my last video, I realized that I had neglected to show one of the runners of parts. I don't know how that happened. I went to all that trouble to actually write and do up a script and do some, well, tricky for me editing, and here I completely forgot one of the freaking runners. So I guess I'll show it now. This is the H parts runner. These are all the parts that are specifically for this version of the helicopter, the MH-53E, rather than the other version, the CH-53E. You can see here it has all of the parts for the large sponsons, as well as connection parts, the winch for the mine clearing sled, and a slightly modified ramp. Not much else to speak of. I'm not doing mine as a mine clearing vehicle, so I won't be using a lot of these parts. Just the sponsons and this. Which I believe is actually an interior connection part for the mine clearing sled. But according to my references, even though mine won't be done as a mine clearing vehicle, it'll still have the sled connection mounted to the ceiling of the interior. So, I don't know. Otherwise, I've done not a huge amount of work to the fuselage parts. I've just painted the interior of the cockpit there. The rest of it, it required you to drill out quite a few flashed over holes to mount engine parts, as well as the side sponsons, which curiously appear to cover completely over this window on both sides, so kind of interesting. I've built and painted the rotor head, which is probably the single most complicated part in the entire build. It's made up of about 45 parts. For 7 blades, each rotor hub, I believe, had 4 or 5 different parts to it. So add those all together, plus the upper and lower swash plates and the mounting drive shaft. It's about, like I said, it's about 45 parts in total. So it's pretty complex, and it is designed with an option to display the rotors folded or extended. I'm doing mine as extended, but it can't be switched. It's either one or the other without some major modification to the model. But you can see there, this is one of the parts. This little bit, you can basically, there's no hinge, but you can glue it one way or the other. So, like I said, it would require some pretty major modification to be able to display it as with the option to fold or unfold on a single model. Really, all that's left to show is the cockpit here. You probably can't get a really good look at that, but I'm quite happy with the result that I got. The instructions called for flat black. I lightened the flat black just a very little bit. I actually probably should have lightened it a little bit more, because I find that just straight flat black or white is a little bit too stark. I probably should have gone for a slightly lighter, very, very dark gray as opposed to just straight black. But I added a little bit of detail. You might be able to see there's some cabling I added to the upper bulkhead, or the upper control panel, which I just did with wire wrapping wire. There was actually one of these, I actually wire wrapped wire around wire to create sort of a corrugated cable running through the upper control panel. And I'm quite happy with that. In addition, the rear side of the main bulkhead, these cables on the one side, were molded to the bulkhead surface, and I replaced them with a bit of wire as well. Didn't work out perfectly, but I'm quite happy with the result. I need to do a bit of dry brushing yet. I've only just painted this bulkhead this afternoon, and did the detail painting on the wires themselves about an hour ago. But I need to do a bit of dry brushing to kind of bring out the detail a little bit. As well, I need to do a little bit of that on the interior ceiling panel, which I painted the same color as the interior inside panels, which now I cannot find. There they are. Which the instructions call for a sort of blue-gray, and I didn't have a matching color, and I couldn't find one that looked right according to my references in the hobby shop, so I just mixed one. I don't know if it's really strictly accurate, but I'm quite happy with the result. It's sort of, as I described in the last video, it's sort of a quilted fabric. I'm guessing it's an insulator or a sound, what do you call it? A sound insulator, whatever the hell the term is, I can't remember off the top of my head. For the inside of the fuselage. But again, I need to do some dry brushing, likewise to the rear section where the ramp mounts to. But overall, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, and with a little luck, I should be able to close up the fuselage. I'd say by tomorrow, the next day at the latest. And then I'll be able to get working on the engines and the exterior. But the engine exhausts I just glued together this afternoon, and the fit is a little bit tricky. It's not quite perfect, so it's going to take a little bit might take a little filler and a lot of sanding to get that down just right. Apart from that, not much else to show for about that. Oh, here's the back, the ramp. I would guess that these are for a small vehicle, like maybe an ATV or something, if they ever loaded it up into the rear compartment. So yeah, that's about all there is to show about that. Oh! Almost forgot. Here we have the front end all painted black, masked and painted so as to match with my references for the interior color. You can see the masking on the inside. Oops. Bit of complicated masking doing that too. It took me quite a while. Some odd compound shapes to deal with. Not to mention, you know, I spent the better part of a day trying to clean this up with a bit of Future. I like to dip the clear parts in Future floor polish. I have a really old bottle of it here that I really should replace because it's getting a bit cloudy, but it still looks good when it's on the parts. But yeah, I spent about the better part of I wouldn't say a whole day, about a half a day, just dipping and redipping and redipping, trying to avoid pooling anywhere. And every time I tried it, I would end up with a little pool of it somewhere. So I was able to figure out how to make it pool where I needed to, so that I could just sand down. You can see there's a little bit of sanding scuff mark there. Let's see if I can get the glare to... there we go. You might be able to see a little bit of sanding scuffing right under my finger. I was able to get it to pool. I could not, for the life of me, make it not pool somewhere. So that was my solution, was to make it pool somewhere I could control it and do a very light bit of sanding to eliminate it, so that it wouldn't actually end up on the glass parts. So that's basically where I'm at for now. I have added a few things to my collection again, as I am wont to do. I picked up Tamiya's ME-262A1A. I tried building one of these as one of my first aircraft kits probably about 8 years ago. Back when the kit was brand new, like brand new. I'm talking probably 2002 or so. And I actually got pretty far along. I got it fully assembled. I did the interior up, painted it. Actually, it turned out quite well for what it was back then. But I can't remember why I quit on it. I really don't remember. But for some reason I gave up on it, and it just ended up sitting in a box and broke eventually. But I also purchased Hasegawa's relatively new F-22 in 48 scale. I bought this because they didn't have any 32nd scale Trumpeter Harriers in stock. Because I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan. As you can probably tell, I'm watching Predator here in the background. And the climax of the movie True Lies is probably one of my favorite scenes in any movie of the last 15 years. I can't even say that anymore. I think the movie came out in '94, so I guess I'm going to have to say the last 20 years. But as I was fortunate enough to discover the markings for the Trumpeter 32nd scale Harrier, one of the options for that kit is the exact same aircraft that Harry flew in the freaking movie, that Arnold flew in True Lies as Harry Tasker. I don't know if the tail number is correct, but the squadron number is correct. The markings are all accurate. It's exactly accurate to my references that I can find. If they had one, I probably would have snapped it up right then instead of the Raptor. But they didn't have any at the time, and lo and behold, I went in there 2 days ago and they had some on the shelf. It took all my restraint to not walk out of there with that, but there'll be time for that in the future. Anyway, so that's about all I've got to say for right now. I'm going to get working on finishing up with the interior bulkhead parts and see if I can't seal this bastard up by tomorrow. So yeah, that's all there is to say. So to everyone out there, thanks for watching, and happy modeling.